tell us, as an agronomist with Stony Ridge Foods, tell us about your current work as an agronomist. What's your day like during the growing season?
Well, during the growing season, I'm very active out in the country looking at our fields. So we have approximately 50 growers that I work with, a contract with us at Stony Ridge Foods to deliver their crop to us to process. And if we have a vested interest in what's going on out there in their fields, so I'm very active out in the growing season, scouring their fields. If I'm asked to give advice.
Bob, let's talk about some of the work you do with 4-H as an adult volunteer with crop scouting. Tell us how these teams work and how you are involved. What is your role?
I look at my role more as a mentor. I've worked professionally as a crop consultant and did crop scouting, and it's an opportunity for me to share how I go about doing things with others. When I started 2019 with our 4-H youth, in fact, at our state competition that year, I was asked by Bruce Potter, you guys have a manual or a program guide that you go by that you teach from? I says, no. I've since kind of put one together, and I'm working on revising that today. But when I started out, I worked with the basic foundation, some class time with the youth to educate them or orientate them to what to expect to see for growing, how a corn or how a soybean grows, germination, the different crop stages. And then when you get an opportunity to get out in the field, I walk with them and I point out things. And what was really interesting to see is that in a few short weeks after going out in the field with the youth, is that how quick some of them were to pick up some of those skills themselves and start seeing things themselves, and how excited they got when they saw a thistle caterpillar or a green clover worm, etc. It was just fun working with them on that and showing them by walking through what I do. Yeah.
To follow up on that, Bob, it has to be rewarding for you, is it not, to see kids kind of grow and learn as far as crop scouting and other agronomic issues? It's got to be rewarding for you as an adult volunteer.
Yes, it is. I've already alluded to that. That 2019. After a few visits out there in the field with them, and as we went, walking through and casually pointing out what I'm seeing and what they're missing in the first few visits, and then as they got more tuned into what to look for, how sharp they became and seeing some of those things. And I think back to our regional competition that year down in Iowa, at Ames, Iowa, when one of the youth was asked by the judge a particular question that the team struggled a little bit. All of a sudden, I saw the eyes lit up in one of our youth that I know what he wants. I know the answer, and he looked at me, and they could just tell it.
What advice would you have to other adult volunteers, Bob, who may be interested in working with an agronomic team like this, a scouting team? What words of advice or encouragement would you have for them? Why should they do it?
Well, whether it's a crop scouting program or other agronomics or anything with adults, I would say don't hesitate. Don't let your concern that you may not be well enough equipped for what to lead, because that information is out there. The internet is a wonderful thing for finding a lot of data and information, and I think everybody would be amazed how much resource stuff I have pulled on that to help put my scouting program together for the kids. So yeah, just don't hesitate, and don't feel that your lack of knowledge is going to be a liability, because just have an adult presence out there doing it, we can find that information for you. That's all there is.
Bob, do you think these 4-H youth who are on these crop scouting teams, do they have to be farm kids? Do they have to do they have to come from a farm in order to be a good crop scout?
No, they don't. I look at my background back up north in Cass County. I was more livestock than crops. Very sandy, low pH soils. We grew enough to get by for our feed, but we never got into actual crop production so much, and that's where I primarily am now. I think, well, I guess I've bragged that I could take my next door neighbor in town, and if his youth wants to be involved, I can make him a good scout. And I got one I'm going to try to work with next year. So
You can find more information about 4-H crop scouting on our 4-H agronomy and horticulture webpage, or by emailing Brian McNeil at mcnei006@umn.edu.